So, as you can tell by the bench, we've been doing a bit of work. Alright, so update. So we got our rear cross member all together and mounted into half of the chassis, I guess, and our new front redesigned cross member all fits nice. Everything's all sanded, ready for primer and paint. So there's the other rail. We've also come in and thread locked everything that needed to be thread locked. All the rear end is all now thread locked properly, all sanded up, ready to go. Now, like I said, we are painting everything, drive shafts, the lot. All I have to watch out for is I can probably just mask that up actually. I'll mask up all the small parts on the gearbox. The big tape's downstairs, so when I get down there I'll just mask up the rest of that motor. Front end, obviously mask up the axles. I'll finish masking that with the big masking tape, and everything's just getting sprayed in red. So from the chassis down, everything, well, 98% of everything is going to be red. So I just thought of something. What was it? So how we're going to tackle this is we still have to wash everything yet, but we while the chassis is in two pieces, I'm going to spray the inside of the chassis rails, and then put them together however they want to go together. Trust me, they do too. There we go. Snap. Right, and then put them together and go over the whole outside of the chassis rails after I bolt this part back on. So yeah, it's going to be done in stages, I guess. So we have to go out and buy some paint first, because we don't have any. Well, I got some Italian red, but I got no primer. But I don't think I've got enough Italian red to do the whole thing. So we're just going to go out and buy some. Won't be Tamiya paint. It'll just be standard automotive pressure pack stuff. But it is only the chassis in it. So for the body, we're going to use the proper paint. Don't worry about that. All right, we'll see you downstairs. All right, so we've got all our sub-assemblies hanging. They're all cleaned up, ready to go. We ended up going with this Rust-Oleum. I don't usually use this sort of paint on models, but man, paint's getting expensive these days. Nearly 20 bucks a can for this stuff, and this is the cheap stuff. But I see, I forget his name, old mate from RC Everyday uses this a lot, and he seems to have good luck with it. I've already primed the gearbox. It's sitting over there in the vise. Now this time comes out fast and quick and heavy. I don't think I need too much of a heavy coat on this either. Again, we're not going to show you all the painting. I'm really just doing light coats here. Once these rails are in primer, I'm happy with them. The two halves can be screwed back together, and all the screws in, tightened up properly. Then we can do the whole thing in the red. And I just thought I'm going to have to turn this around so that I can get the underside of all these cross members. So there's going to be a bit of handling involved, I think. I have to be careful. Right, I'm going to keep going with this and bring you back when everything's grey. Alright, so all our primers laid out. Looking pretty good. Spray on the red. We just did the gearbox. We'll put in a little bit of a thing here. It's actually quite a nice red. Very similar to the Italian red from Tamiya. So again, this stuff comes out super quick. So I only did one coat of primer. I'm going to do probably a couple of coats of red if we have enough. So this first coat is obviously just going to be light, nice light dust coat. And the second coat, I'll probably only do 2 coats, but the second coat's just basically going to probably get all the bits that I missed the first time. That's a really nice red actually. I think it's going to look so good put together. I hope it does anyway. Alright, we'll bring you back when everything's red. Alright, so we missed a few steps there, but or we skipped a few, but you didn't miss much. So all we did was put the chassis rails back together and then paint the whole thing, then refitted all the differential and front end components. We used Loctite everywhere this time, except for where there was lock nuts, obviously. So that part of the chassis is good to go. We just got to put all this good stuff back in, and then we can move on to aesthetic stuff. Righto, she's all back together. We just got the kit wheels and tyres on for now, just to keep it off the bench. Now we can turn our attention to painting all of these bits and pieces and getting them mounted up to the chassis. Now I do still have to drill and tap some holes for these boxes here. I haven't done them yet because I wasn't exactly sure where they were going to go, so still got to make up a mount for this battery box. These, I've modified these mounts. I've just cut the ends off them because they didn't quite fit where they needed to go in the correct spot. They're actually sitting too far forward with the way I designed the mount, and the front of the fuel tank was actually rubbing on the rear of the guard of the truck. So I just cut probably 4mm off the end of that mount so that we can just slide the tank back like that. And when the body goes on, we've got that clearance. So I've already drilled and tapped for these mounts. These mounts have to get glued on to these tanks, and then we can paint them up. I'm still trying to decide what colour to do the tanks. Don't know whether to do them silver or red to match the chassis. I don't want there to be too much red. Yeah, I'm just going to have a think about that. What do you reckon? Yeah, so whatever colour we decide for the tanks, these tanks are going to be the same. I've also ordered another 30 amp ESC, and once that's here, I'm going to fit one in each of these tanks before I paint them. So that after they're painted, they don't need to be touched and pulled apart and all that sort of stuff. All we need to do is, well, first of all, I've got to work out where they're going to go. Because, like I said, I know I'm blabbing on here, but one tank's going to go there. I wouldn't mind the battery box going here somewhere. Get my stupid hand out of the way. Give me a paint pot. Oh, that's too low, but you get the idea. And this probably, yeah, that's going to have to go there. That might even go in that space there between the chassis plate and those screws. Yeah, no, that's alright, I like that. That's going to go there. We'll pick up this original screw hole here and just drill and tap 2 more for the rear on the top and the bottom. So, I think that's about all I can do. Bull bar, I've marked out where to drill the holes to mount that up to the front. Yeah, something like that. So once I do that, I can drill the holes in the chassis here and get that mounted up, and then we can actually build the bull bar. when my styrene turns up that I haven't ordered yet. Alright, we'll see you when we got some more paint on. Right, so it's time for a bit of detail painting. So we have our battery tray, battery box, a couple of scale batteries painted up to make them kind of resemble like a Century brand battery. They'll just get stuck in there with some double-sided tape. Air tanks. The truck needed air tanks. Unfortunately, these are like a European, Japanese style setup for air tanks, but they sit on the chassis quite nicely, so they don't look out of place. Designed and printed this bracket, just have to paint that red. Now the fuel tanks, we've painted the step tread silver and the cap silver, but these straps here, we've got something special. We've got this product here, bare metal foil. Now I bought this back when I was a teenager, and back in you know, back in the 80s when you got a you had to cut out an order form out of a magazine, and actually had to go down to the post office, convert some cash into a money order, put it in the envelope with the order thing, send it somewhere in America to order a sheet of bare metal foil, and it just took weeks and weeks and weeks for it to get there, and or for it to get delivered to me in Australia. And the other day I found it on eBay, and it was basically the same price as what I paid in the 80s. I forget what I paid, 15 bucks, 20 bucks for this sheet, I forget. And it was here within 4 days. But anyway, so we're using bare metal foil for these straps. I've already done one tank, so it's not quite as chrome as what I remember it, but yeah, that looks really good, I think. So I'm just gonna try and do one of these straps for you on camera. Now this stuff is actual metal foil, right, with the sticky back, and once you start peeling it off, if you're ever going to use it, it'll become evident pretty quick how thin this stuff actually is. I should actually get the verniers out and measure some, get them out there right there, but that might be a job for when Zach gets back. Now tweezers, and my hands are like extra shaky today. What I found was what I found was if you just, probably same with applying a decal sometimes, peel some back and expose some of the sticky back. You might start wherever you want really, but now this stuff doesn't stick straight away. You got to actually apply a bit of force and kind of rub it in to get it to stick. And of course I didn't get it straight at all. I'm going to make it look so awkward now that I'm doing it on camera. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So we're just going to apply a bit of pressure there. Just peel it back and then just follow that strap basically all the way around, and hopefully land it where it needs to be. You have got a little bit of forgiveness in this foil because it's so thin, it doesn't really bend, but you can manipulate it. Yeah, that's right, to a point. And then where's my, there it is. Then because it's so thin, once again, you can just form it around the shapes that you're trying to cover with it. And you got to go around and do this a fair bit, just to make sure that everything's stuck. I nearly dropped it then. Make sure you put some decent pressure down on it. Even get your fingernail and run it in there. On my own at the moment. Zach and his mother's just gone out to try and find a suit for Zach so he can go to his grade 12 formal, I guess you call it. So with a sharp knife, just follow along the edge where you don't want the foil, basically. Peel it off. I have to come back in here and clean that up. This being a 3D printed part, I probably could have spent a bit more time in cleaning it up, but I didn't before painting. You can see this step here. It was a bit of a fail in the print, but they both did it in the exact same spot. So I'm not sure what happened there, but it's okay. I think we're going to get away with it. I'll just follow down this other side. This stuff is so thin, man. It's and breaks really easy. So years ago, when I was a kid, what I was trying to do was cut it to size, and that was just a nightmare. And I learned pretty quick to just cut it oversized. Do what I just did, fold it around the features, and just trim it to suit. Which I've never actually read the instructions, but pretty sure that's how you're supposed to do it. So this other side might be a bit boring watching me putting on chrome film, but I just want to show you something. I was cutting the sheet, strips off the sheet this way, and not quite long enough to get 2 full straps out of one strip. I'll show you in a second what I did. Just got to hold this down while I peel this paper back. And it looks like you can use a little bit more silver paint on them steps. Maybe I won't. If I leave it like that, it might look like they're used. Sort of pre-weathered. It's a flash way of saying I'm lazy and I don't want to put another coat of paint on it. So that took all of the sometime. So you see we got a bit here that we ran short on, so I'll just cut another small piece. I'm going to attempt to try and peel it back. See, I was planning to have Zach here for this bit. I think we're getting it. Like I said, my hands are especially shaky today, which is actually a nerve thing. I have carpal tunnel, I have impinged shoulders, I have what do you call it, tennis elbow from drumming so many years and obviously doing it the wrong way. So yeah, there's actual nerve damage. Just why I bloody shake so much some days. Some days are good, some days are bad. So I'm just going to overlap the foil. Hope you saw that. Do the same thing. Press it all in. These bits here, they're going to be sitting under the cab of the truck anyway, so you're kind of not going to see them. But I couldn't leave it unfinished, so I had to do this. Whatever's left, I'm just forming around the back there, and yeah, you can barely see where it's been joined. I can see it, you can see it because you know where I put it, but when it's sitting on the truck, even though you're probably not going to see it anyway, but if it was in plain sight, I don't think you really tell the difference. So I think that's it for this part of the video. So I've actually, let me get the chassis I'll put all this stuff away. So I reckon we can mount these tanks now. You see we've fitted these tyres on the spider hubs. They still got to come out so we can paint them. I must have dropped a spacer out of that side. No, she's right, I'll fix that later. Yeah, okay. So these are side specific. That has to be that side. Yes. Because I ended up having to trim these mounts and move the tanks back because they were fouling on the guards of the body. Now I've come in and drill and tapped all the holes we need for all of the accessories. I did all that off camera. That's just drilling and tapping holes. Screws. So have a quick think. Am I sure I'm ready to bolt these on? Because when I do, I'm going to Loctite the thread lock the screws. It's not really that strong of a thread lock, is it? It won't be hard to pull it apart. So I'm using 3x6 screws, which I know there's plenty in the kit, but I don't know, or without reading the manual word for word, I don't know where and when I'm going to need those 3x6 machine screws. So I'm taking them out of my spares box, which is these little fuggers down here, 3x6. You can see there's quite a few of them. So now I need my thread lock. There it is. And a screwdriver. I'm just going to take the big handle off there. Normally I'd, you know what, I'm going to do that. I was just going to say normally I'd thread lock the holes first, which I'm going to do. So that thread lock's getting a bit anemic, isn't it? Now normally when I'm applying thread lock, I'll go pretty sparse with it, but this time for this build I'm being pretty generous with it, because I really hope that once this truck's actually finished, like 100% completely finished. I mean, they're never finished, are they? But you know what I mean. Hopefully I'll never have to really take it apart ever again. So I'm just going to go through and thread lock all of these holes. I'm not going to thread lock these holes yet for this mount. I still have to paint that. So we only just printed that off sort of late yesterday afternoon. It was hot and I'd already had a few beers and I just didn't feel like painting anymore. I'm also not going to thread lock these holes for these tanks because again we still have to paint them, and they're not getting painted until the 30 amp ESCs go in there. So we're basically just going to do the tank holes and the battery box. Flip this over, and which bloody holes are they now? That much. Hard to see in there. I'll bring it back when this is done. Right, thread lock is done. Let's get some tanks on. Just got to keep double checking I've got the right side. Because once they're on and once the body mount itself is on, they're impossible to get to. Well, these top screws anyway. You just won't get to them. So I've got all my 3x6 screws sitting just over here off camera. Because we are on camera, nothing wants to line up. This red paint is a lot thicker than I thought it was, and makes things a little bit tight when you're trying to put everything back together. Which I don't think is going to be very good for the PLA we use to print these tanks. I believe it doesn't respond well to pressure over time. But I guess we're going to find out. The battery box, since the batteries aren't taped in yet, should we tape them in? Let's do that now. Collection of double-sided tape. I reckon just one piece will do it. in somewhere there, and try and get in there and lift up the other bit. We have fitted new lights to the workbench, but you still get a lot of shadows and it's still difficult to see sometimes. It doesn't help that the actual room itself has very poor lighting. So. Alright, batteries, I'm going to try and set them in at the same time so that we don't stuff it up basically. So there we go, I think that looks pretty good. I was going to wire up these batteries for a bit more scale detail, but come on man, it's a working truck, isn't it? It's not a static model. I know I put wires and stuff on the other models, but they are shell quenched, so this is just basically going to be a good looking truck. Hopefully it's going to be a good looking truck. I'll put that away. Another couple of 3x6 screws. This last one in, and flip it over and chuck all the bottom ones in. You might notice the colour of the tanks on the bottom is different. I tried, well, I didn't try, I did it. I painted the tanks in TS8, Tamiya TS8, the Italian red, and I used the grey primer, and it just came out so dark, like that colour, maroon basically, and it just didn't match the rest of the chassis, so I had to use this same enamel paint, which we sprayed these yesterday morning, 9ish o'clock, 10ish, and I just thought of something really stupid. I can't get to these screws because of this bloody gearbox, can I? Uh-oh. Joys of custom building, eh? And you don't want to leave these screws out either, because if you put any kind of pressure on the bottom of that tank, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together, eh? Like I was saying, this paint was applied over 24 hours ago, and it's not sticky to touch, but it's kind of leaving fingerprints and stuff in it. I probably should have left it for another day, but it's Sunday and I wanted to get it done, and I'm in a bit of a hurry, so, and I'm impatient. So I'm going to have to take this gearbox back out. Does it need to come all the way out? I've thread locked those bloody screws too. Well, thread lock ain't that good, like I said. Took a bit of pressure to undo that screw. I mean, I've only got to move the gearbox over a couple of mil just to get to the heads of those screws. Hopefully I don't need to take the whole thing out. I mean, it's not the end of the world, it's only nuts and bolts, but I should be putting them back in the little box there. Yeah, it's only nuts and bolts, but still, a bit of a pain. Okay, so is it going to let me? Oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Lovely, 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 lovely. See? I do love it when a plan comes together. Uh-oh. Sorry about my hairy arm being in the way. But, come on. I really need to magnetise these bloody screwdrivers. It really is a pain in the bum sometimes. Okay, so they're in. We can turn him back over and put our screws back in for the gearbox. If I can just stop dropping screws. I'm going to have to cut open one of Zach's hard drives and get the magnet out so I can do something about these bloody screwdrivers. Just don't tell him I cut open one of his hard drives. He might get a bit upset about that. Okay, I'm going to grab out a few more 3x6 screws so you guys can just get a little bit of a sneak peek. I only grabbed 2 out. Turns out the tweezers are more magnetic than the bloody screwdriver is. So this one's going on here, and it's a tight fit, so we don't need a screw for that. And these tanks eventually are going here, thusly, like so. And these air tanks, just going to get double-sided tape onto that bracket over the other side there. So that's all that done, and that's about all we can do until the other 30 ampere C turns up. I'll leave them on for now. I'll take that off because it'll fall off. So next thing I think I can do is to put this body mount on. So we originally had this body mount. This just picks up the original 4 holes, or where is it? Original 4 holes for your floor plate, for your cab to actually mount onto. But then I wanted, because all of the electronics are going to be under the bonnet of the truck, all in under here. Hey, I should have done that hours ago. Right, so everything's going to sit. So you can't even see where that chrome ran out. But anyway, we fixed it. So instead of, and I just threw it on the floor. Instead of just trying to work out where to stick receivers and ESCs, lighting modules, all that sort of stuff. We don't have a lot of gear to go. It's not getting a sound system or anything like that. Okay, so but we've got, what have we got here? We've got the one of those cheap, I mean it says Tamiya, but it actually doesn't say Tamiya. It's just got actually that's interesting. I've never noticed that. Let's open it up and have a look. I've used a few of these. I've never noticed that. So it's got the Tamiya stars with the blue and the red, pop-up options. It doesn't actually say Tamiya anywhere on it. Then no wonder why. I think they're about $12. I'm not going to cut away the wires, but yeah, we've got the lighting unit to go in here somewhere. I do have to extend a lot of these wires because obviously we're going to get wires going all the way down the back to the tail lights, which I have to sort out. Since I'm a little bit picky with the grand hauler rear bumper, I'm going to have to sort out tail lights. Get rid of that for a sec, or forever. Right, this cab mount system. Right, so we redesigned it. This is what we've come up with. That's where the cab actually mounts to. That sits in there. I've drilled out some holes here for the shock mounts, and that is going to just pick up on the original 4 mounting holes. So I can line these up, get these screws in. Right. These screws, I actually, the old body mount we had printed wrong. I don't know if you can see it, but it really slopes down here. There was something wrong with the print, which meant the screws that I had fit perfectly, and this print came out 100% perfect, which meant the screws I had were too short, and they were the longest screws I had. So I found these screws, which are the shock rods out of a grasshopper, and they are the perfect length. And you'll notice I haven't thread locked that yet, because I'm pretty sure this is coming apart another 400 times. So that is where the body is going to mount onto. But for our electronics, we've got these 4 holes here, and we've just drawn up and printed a plate which gets screwed on with Don't know what I've done with those screws. I've got some pretty red screws here. 3x8 self-tapping screws. If we had a thought ahead of time a little bit, we could have put some locators on there so it just fits exactly where it needs to be, so you don't have to go mucking around trying to find screw holes. That's DB1 I'm trying to put on a record. I could use 3x10s. Get back in there. Because those holes are just through holes, they're not blind holes. I think 3x8s are the most self-tappers I've got, maybe 3x12s. And being very careful not to over torque on these screws. So there you go. There's our electronics tray, so that we can mount all our stuff on. I won't screw the body on, I don't think, but you get the idea. There's just a platform there, sits nicely under the bonnet, and there should be room for everything to fit in there. We're going to have one of them. There's another light unit coming for some disco lights. It's all about continuity, isn't it? Sorry about that. If you know, you know. Yes, disco lights. So there's a different lighting unit for them. I don't know if I need that lighting unit or if I can just go into the receiver. Speaking of receivers, you know what? I am going to cut this off just to get this sitting flat where it needs to go. Which means I'm going to have bloody wires going everywhere. Alright, so well, that's actually got to go up that way. Alright, so you get the idea, it'll sit in there somewhere. I did have a receiver here somewhere. Receiver, that can go anywhere really. ESC, I'm not using a 1060, I'm using a 1080, which is a little bit bigger, but not much really. It's going to go in there like that somehow. Now, I might actually just make a big hole in the center so that I can poke up motor wires and servo wires and stuff like that. Might be a good idea, just to save them coming through here, because they might. Just have a look. Even with the dash in, yeah, you might even see those. So you're going to see the gearbox anyway. So yeah, we got all this stuff to go on here. Then I need to extend battery wires to run. I'm going to have to make another hole in the back of this box here to run out here, because I found a print file for basically a wall mounted Dean's connector. So it's basically there's going to be a bulkhead in between the chassis plates here for the ROPS, which is going to have the Dean's plug, Dean's connector for the battery, because the battery is going to be right about here, actually mounted into the tank, which is why we have to 3D print the tank, because we've got a few ideas for that. So yeah, I might even print that off today after this one's done. Yeah, so it's just basically a plug, a wall plug for a Dean's connector. So that's getting then put in there, and it's also going to give me a bit of a scale bulkhead kind of thing, so I can run some Susie coils, some. Well, that's what I know. I'm not going to run bloody wires and airlines and shit like that, but yeah, a little bit of scale, eh? A little bit's alright. But that also covers up any like wiring harnesses and stuff to go through there. Now, I am an idiot. I did mean to, and I did mean to drill out all of these cross members before putting everything together so that I can run all the wiring through there. And I bloody didn't. But since it's getting that that tank on top, you're never going to see any of this top portion of the chassis. Anyway, bring up here so you can see what I'm talking about. You're never going to see anything inside the chassis here, so well, not from the top anyway. So yeah, we can safely run wires along the top and you won't even know. So, holy Shit, that's been recording for 40 minutes. I'm going to screw the body on. And this might be where we leave you in the video. I'm not too sure. We're going to have to, Zach's going to have a look and see how much footage we got. We didn't have a whole lot of footage already. Oh, we printed off another ROPS. This one's actually solid. The other one had infill. So that one should be a lot stronger. So I need more 3x6 screws. It's probably the most common screw on this whole kit. The little thing goes. The only other thing I'm going to do today on this truck is paint this bracket and bolt it on properly, and then put the air tanks on, and then that'll be that done. So what was I doing? Putting the body on. Let's get this. I hate putting this body on and off. It's just it can go straight on, but it can be fiddly. I've lost my screwed up. There it is, right in front of me. Yeah, there is a little bit of a thing there where it mounts onto, where it kind of sits onto the frame itself, but sometimes it just doesn't want to do that. And I happen to get the screw in the hole first time this time. Sometimes you can be chasing them forever. Okay, so that is looking pretty nice, I think. I was worried it was going to be too much red, and it probably is, but I mean, these are going red as well with the silver stripes. We're going to use the bare metal foil on them as well. So let's just set the ROPS frame on. That's not exactly where it needs to go, but it's pretty close, and we'll have a look at that. Yeah, it's going to be so cool, especially with these wheels painted up. Right. Yeah, I like it. So the little disco lights I was talking about, they're going to sit off the air rams just on here, instead of this big old thing that was going up the top, because I really want to put the horns and clearance lights up top, and just can't do that with that big wheelie light. Then I thought about putting it on the ROPS, and that just looks bad. So we're going with the little tiny disco lights, which I've ordered, which should be here in a couple of weeks. So I think that's going to be the end of this video. Update on the Grand Hauler. Like we keep saying, all of our updates on this truck are lengthy videos, because we really don't get back to it all that often. So, but I think, actually, give us some ideas on a colour scheme for this body. Nothing too flash or extravagant or like a million different colours, because I was just thinking of white, which, when I say white, I was going to do it the racing white, the off-white, and 2 red stripes, and that's it. Zach wanted black with red stripes, and we just can't decide. So chuck it in the comments what you reckon. Just give us some ideas, because I'm terrible at picking paint colours. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching, thanks for your support, and have a great day, and hope you're enjoying the build so far. Bye.